Initial reactions.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, excited for the guys. Excited for the guys is that they went out there and put a good week of work together. So you're always excited about that outcome. I think when we look at certain phases of the game, we'll we got to improve. There's just like I told the guys in there, right? Like enjoy it, enjoy it tonight. It's tough to win this league, and I thought mentally they were able to pull themselves up a little bit when some adversity hits, and those are the kind of things you're looking for as a coach is when things aren't going exactly the way you plan. How's your response? And I thought the response was well.
What did you say to them during halftime?
Just be us. Continue to finish. I think just understanding where we are in that moment. We were doing some things that kind of self-inflicted, and the guys understood that. We needed to ramp up our details and just focus on finishing plays, finishing drives. But I was proud of the effort for sure.
You told the players to enjoy it because it's tough to win in this league. Will you enjoy your first win as a head coach?
I will, absolutely, I will. Yeah, I mean, it's okay to enjoy it, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity. Like I said, just to help lead these men and be a part of this organization. So I'm proud of the guys, and I will enjoy it tonight. But we're going to get better tomorrow.
What about Nathan? And he looked so sharp, especially in the second half. 16 of 19, like over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. For a first time in your offense, what does it say about a guy that he was able to take everything in the offseason, do all of that, and then put it on display there?
Yeah, credit to Nathan. I mean, we're going to continue to learn about each other, and I'll continue to learn about him, and things, how he sees the game and how he sees, certain things, and I'm excited to build on that relationship with us. But you look at what he can do, and how accurate he is, how fast he gets the ball out of his hands, and is aggressive also with his legs, right? So I thought he had great command of the offense tonight. He was fantastic on the sidelines with the guys, and just kept him rolling. It was awesome to watch.
2 drives I want to ask you about. The 107-yard drive where he used his legs a lot, and then they score on that crazy Trey Ford play, get close, and then he executes an entirely different type of drive right away, just throwing it and looked like a surgeon in that moment. But just as a team, to have those plays where you can dig it out from 1 your own end after a mistake in the return, and then respond after a touchdown in a unfortunate play like that for you guys defensively, just what does that say?
Yeah, I think it's just complementary football. It's from a team aspect, we're all together. We're all we see each other as one. So, it's each unit's job to respond, and it's no different. Whether it's the offense or the defense or special teams, right? The offense took the field, and it doesn't matter where we are. We're just gonna continue to do what we do, and I think that was excellent by those guys of going out on the field, not saying, oh shit, we're on the -3, but all right, let's go. 107 yards, right? And that's the type of mindset that you want your entire team to have, right? And it was good to see for our guys.
It did seem like the special teams might have been the one phase where you didn't win in this game. Is that an area you kind of feel like you need to fix?
Well, I think there's going to be fixes everywhere. That's just our business. We need to improve on all phases. But that's our mindset. So we'll sit, we'll discuss, and we'll find ways to get better. There's not a magic plan to it all. It's we demand a certain standard, and we're gonna keep working no matter of what the result is, right? So yeah, we're happy tonight, but tomorrow we're gonna get back to work.
Short yardage, you guys get stuffed twice in this game. What has to change that package to be successful?
Well, we're gonna look at it a little bit. We'll obviously it's something that has to get fixed, right? So, we'll look at all aspects of it, and once we look at the film and all those type things. But yeah, I mean, we got to get better. We got to get better at it, and that's not a secret.
That second short yardage play where you sort of had a decision at midfield,
Mhm.
seemed like you were going back and forth on it
Yeah.
a little bit from our vantage point. What do you take away from that as a coaching his first game, making that decision for really the first time from that
Yeah.
particular?
Yeah, I mean, you learn from it, right? Yeah, listen, I want our guys to, take the field with the mindset that we're going to get that, right? And the unfortunate thing is you don't, get a ton of those in training camp either, right? And it's not an excuse, but we got to tweak some things, and we're going to get better there.
What can you say about your defense? Because they let Trey get outside a little bit, but when he was in the pocket, it seemed like you smothered Edmonton.
Yeah, I thought our tackling was much improved. I thought they were running the ball. I thought they were pursuing. They were communicating well. Trey's going to get outside the pocket. That's going to happen. He's a dynamic quarterback that can really hurt you in a lot of different ways, right? But I think for the most part, they did a good job of keeping him in and making him climb the pocket and hold the football. And that's compliments to everybody.
You talked a lot this offseason about wanting this team to have more grit. Did they show that tonight, being able to hang on and then come back late, make the
Yeah.
push late to win this game?
Well, I think grit shows up in different ways, right? We still got to be a little mentally sharper. I thought it wasn't as clean, there at the end of the fourth quarter as we needed to be. So we just got to make sure that we're, still locked into the details, no matter what, going on in the field, what the score is, all those type things. I'd like us to be a little smarter and, more focused in those areas.
Your thoughts on Snoop Dogg?
I didn't hear too much. Well, I heard it, but yeah, I mean, the 16, 17-year-old me was pretty happy.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.